What's going on, YouTube? RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, and it's Monday. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend. Sorry I have not been here for, seems like it's been a while, but I think it's been about a week. Definitely apologize. I appreciate all of the text messages and emails asking if I'm okay. I had a lot of you reach out. Tamara, another viewer called today to check and see if I was okay. And I'm fine, guys. Just been really busy with work, helping you all with everything that we do, from letters, character references, personal narratives, helping you prepare, getting you involved with your mindset, just a little bit of everything in order to help your journey go a little smoother, getting ready to enter into the federal prison system. So today we're going to be talking about RDAP and really breaking down RDAP. What's going on, Tier Talk? Tamara, just talking about you, Tamara. Anthony Ganji from Tier Talk. Guys, go check out Anthony's channel if you haven't done so. Anthony Ganji's got a pretty cool channel about the life of like a correction officer, behind the scenes, the dangers. I didn't get to experience much of the dangers where I was. I should say the correctional officers probably didn't experience much of the dangers where I was, being it was a low security. But I know once you get up into those medium and penitentiaries and a lot of the state prison systems, it's probably the real deal. But yeah, we're going to jump into that in a second. Make sure if you haven't done so, take a minute, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. All you got to do is press the subscribe button, press the little bell for notifications. Make sure you turn on notifications so you know when we're going live. And if you haven't done so, also text the word YouTube to 76626. That will put you on our notification list for text messages. That way you'll receive a message as we get ready to go live. Also, come check out our we've kind of redone, we're in the process of still revamping the website over rdapdan.com. There's a link in the description of the video. There's also a link for any of you that have been victimized by RDAP law consultants. They are under federal indictment. They're arrested. They're sitting in jail right now. So if you lost your money or you can't get a hold of them, it's because there's no one there to take your phone calls. However, we did post a blog on the site. So in the description of this video, there's actually a link directly to our blog giving a very brief description, actually pretty detailed description, of why RDAP Law Consultants was indicted. And it wasn't for doing the right thing, I can tell you that. Very, very shady company. I've had many run-ins with those guys. Ang Nugent, who a lot of you know him as, real name Tony Pham. However, they are under indictment finally, and we like to think we played a role in assisting with putting that information out there, because we definitely went full guerrilla on trying to get that information out, just because it's so bad for the rest of the industry. It's no wonder why attorneys don't want to work with a prison consultant when they see companies like that. And they were all over the place. They were spending tons of money on Google advertising and tons of money on telemarketing. So I'm sure every attorney and individual out there has either seen them or heard about them. And once you get beyond the fear and how desperate you are and you look at the reality of what they're offering you, I mean, they're telling you to take tons of drugs and appear to be having withdrawals as you go into the prison system. Just a really bad idea. So finally, they got slammed. Adrian, how you doing? Mike Smith, what's going on, Mike? Mike, I know you got a lot of questions. I know you're getting ready to go through all of this yourself very, very soon. So we'll make sure, don't forget, Mike, shoot me a text when we get off this call and I'll call you so we can go over a few things. Adrian, welcome, welcome. So let's kind of jump into the video here. We're talking about RDAP and breaking it down, not just how to qualify, but really what is RDAP, who qualifies, who doesn't qualify. We've gotten so many, what's going on, Chris? We've received so many emails and text messages over the last 30 days, more so than we've received in a long time, specifically asking about RDAP and can I qualify, or my case manager or the RDAP coordinator at the prison told me I do not qualify. So really trying to get into this so you guys can make some informed decisions on whether or not you want to attempt going into RDAP or not. We wanted to give you the ability to really understand what your options are. And more so, we don't want to see you get yourself into more trouble by lying or deceiving the Federal Bureau of Prisons in order to take a program just for some time off, because it probably won't work. I tried to call you about my case and the number didn't work. Derek Jeter, what number did you call? Because I've been getting phone calls all day. 509-434-4695. Unless there's something up with my phone that I'm unaware of. I did pay my bill. You can also shoot me a quick email at rdapdan@gmail.com, Derek, and I can touch base with you after this video as well. Alexia, what's going on? So what are we going to talk about today? How do you want to break this down? Let's go ahead and start it off with a little short. I'm going to show you the 4 topics that we're going to discuss here. Let me pull it up on the screen. So let me pull this up really quick. That's right, I'm pretty fancy. I know. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So RDAP qualifying, the breakdown, okay? So we've got what is RDAP? What is substance abuse? What do you do if your substance abuse was not disclosed during the time of the pre-sentence interview? And what disqualifies somebody for RDAP? So those are going to be the topics that we jump into. No problem, Derek. I hope, hopefully you just dialed the wrong number or the wrong 800 number, but there could be an issue. Hope not. So let's go into the first question here. The first question is, what is RDAP? If you guys can't read this, I should have warned you to pull it up on your computer or on your TV for those of you with bad eyesight. So I will read it just in case if your eyes are not allowing you to view this. So RDAP qualifying, what is RDAP? RDAP is a voluntary program, 500 hours, 9 to 12-month program of individual and group therapy for federal prisoners with substance abuse problems. It is authorized by 18 USC subsection 3621, which directs the Bureau of Prisons, the BOP, to provide residential substance abuse treatment and make arrangements for appropriate aftercare for all eligible prisoners. As an incentive to get prisoners to participate, federal law allows the BOP, which is the Bureau of Prisons, to reduce the sentences of RDAP graduates convicted of nonviolent offenses up to 1 year. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to qualify for the 1 year. It has a lot to do with the length of your sentence. So to break that down a little bit, if you're sentenced to 24 months or less, you can receive, maybe you'll get 6 months off of the program if you enter into the program almost immediately. So 24 months is the minimum to qualify for any sentence reduction within RDAP. However, just because you're sentenced to 24 months, and even if you meet a lot of the other criteria, substance abuse, nonviolent crimes, things of that nature, if you get to the prison and it takes 2 or 3 months to get into RDAP, you may not qualify for any of the time off because you're not going to have enough time to finish the program, which can take 9 months to a year to finish RDAP, and you're not going to have enough time to do your what's called aftercare, which is 4 months of aftercare in a federal halfway house. So if there's not enough time to do that once you finish RDAP, you'll have issues. So 24 months is the minimum. 24 to 30 months, you can receive up to 6 months sentence reduction for completing RDAP. 31 to 36 months, you can receive up to 9 months off of sentence reduction for completing RDAP. And 37 plus months, you can receive up to 12 months off of the program. There's a lot of other moving parts. You have to get into the program in time. It's not a walk in the park. You can be removed from the program. So this is a basic overview of what RDAP is. So hopefully that gave you a basic brief description, a breakdown. If you've got questions, please either post them in the comments here, post them in the chat room. Feel free to send me an email. We can go into more information on that. The second question we have here is, what is substance abuse? So let's go ahead and look at question number 2 for those of you that are interested in how this RDAP program works. So number 2, what is substance abuse? It is more than merely recreational, social, or occasional use of alcohol or drugs. A substance abuse disorder means that a person, drug or alcohol abuse meets the definition of substance abuse or dependence in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of the Mental Disorders. 4th edition DSM-5 dependency includes having a history of substance abuse, which includes the following: substance abuse, continuation of use despite related problems, increase of tolerance, more of the drug is needed to achieve the same effect, and withdrawal symptoms. Abuse is a pattern of substance use leading to significant impairment in functioning. One of the following must be present within a 12-month period: recurrent use resulting in failure to fulfill major obligations at work, school, legal problems resulting from recurrent use, continued use despite significant social or substance dependence. As abuse is part of the disorder, the diagnostic impression must be reviewed and signed by the Drug Abuse Treatment Program Coordinator. So there's a lot of information that you got to make sure is being properly documented. The best thing I can tell you is if you haven't done your pre-sentence report yet, make sure you're as forthcoming as possible when you sit down with U.S. probation. Don't withhold any information. Don't try to minimize it. Try not to be too ashamed or embarrassed. Don't let your ego get in the way. The best thing you can do is lay it all out on the line. Let the probation officer conducting your pre-sentence report, let them know everything in order to have the best chance possible to not only qualify for sentence reduction, but to truly get the help that you may need. If you don't think you have a substance abuse problem, but you know that you're drinking or you're smoking or you're using other substances on some sort of a regular basis, I don't know if you're the best judge of character to determine whether or not you have a substance abuse issue. So the best thing I can say is just be honest and give everything you can to the probation officer conducting the report. Ultimately, it's going to be up to the RDAP coordinator within the prison system. As you can see here, the last sentence here, the diagnostic impression must be reviewed and signed by a drug abuse program coordinator. That's going to happen at the Bureau of Prisons. So just because a judge recommended it or you have a history, you have it documented, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the substance abuse coordinator within the prison system determining whether or not they feel you should go into the program or not. And there can be a lot of questions and concerns that are raised by giving somebody that type of power, because we see it happen all the time where maybe somebody should be in the program and they're not getting in the program because a substance abuse coordinator is abusing their power or not really looking into it, not paying attention, assuming too much, thinking that you're just trying to beat the system. Some people are trying to beat the system, and it's made it really hard for a lot of others that really are doing the right thing. So it's really important to understand how that works. Justin, no, I'm not from Washington. I live in Washington State. I'm from Palm Beach, Florida, South Florida. So no, not from Washington. So make sure you really do your homework on this. And there's information, links in the description of this video that go into the DSM-5. So if you really want to understand like what alcohol use disorder is, there's a link in there for that you can go review. There's some information too. Where we're pulling all this information from is from a website called FAM, Families Against Minimum Mandatories. And there's a link to their site in here that goes over all this information that I'm reading to you guys, but it goes into more detail. I just pulled out the bits and pieces here for the purpose of this video. So if you want to do your own research or maybe pass some information on to your attorney, or maybe you're already talking to a chemical dependency professional, this is good information to make sure you and they are all on the same page so you can have the best possible outcome. Why did you move up to Washington? It's wet up here. It is wet up here. I moved up here because of Shelly. When I got released from prison, Justin, it was convenient at the time. Shelly she released from prison. She came here because her family was from here, so she wanted to be near family until I got out. And I just followed, and we've been here ever since. But we probably are going to be making a trek back to South Florida because this is a nasty winter. Nasty, nasty. My car doesn't like the winter. It's rear-wheel drive, and it just kind of sits in the driveway. It's like a driveway furniture. All right, number 3. What do you do if substance abuse was not notated in your PSR? So let me be very clear before we pull this up. What do you do if you had an issue with substance abuse, but you did not disclose it to the probation officer? A lot of people do not disclose it for various reasons, from fear, anxiety, not knowing what to say, thinking that it can hurt them if they're open and honest with probation. Attorneys really should be doing a better job kind of laying the groundwork so a client can make the best informed decision on whether or not they want to disclose this information or not. But we've even had individuals tell us that their attorneys told them not to disclose information about their substance abuse. Why? I don't know. That's beyond me, but it can cause issues because if you didn't disclose it, there can be some issues for you trying to qualify for not just getting the time off, but getting the assistance you need to kick your drug addiction or alcohol abuse. So what do you do if it's not in the PSR? So let's take a look at that. We got a question. Let me read this question first, then we'll jump into this. Can you qualify if the substance abuse program already... Can you qualify if you're in a substance... Yes, you can, Derek. Substance abuse needs to be documented in your PSR or somewhere by a substance abuse provider, paperwork, that you had the issues within 12 months prior to the instant offense or the arrest or the indictment. So a lot of people, after they're indicted or after they're arrested, they go into treatment while they're out on pretrial, and that does not prevent you from going into the residential drug addiction program, at least from my understanding. All right, so what if it's not in your PSR? Okay, so what do you do if substance abuse was not notated in your pre-sentence report? And this is even hard for me to read, guys, so I apologize. I'm over here squinting, sounding like it's my first time reading a paragraph, so I apologize. I should have blew this up. RDAP is limited to those who have real, verifiable substance abuse problems and desire treatment. Verifiable means that the problem is documented, preferably in the pre-sentence report, the PSR, letters from a medical doctor or mental health professional, a drug abuse treatment provider, a parole or probation officer, a social worker, or judge recommendations are helpful in showing that the person has a verifiable substance abuse disorder. 2 or more convictions for DUI or DWI in 5-year period before the person's most recent arrest may also verify that the person has substance abuse use disorder. Any written documentation of an inmate's substance abuse problems should be sent to the BOP and put in the person's central file. If there's no verifying documentation of a substance abuse disorder in the person's central file, the person must be given the opportunity to have documentation sent directly to the drug abuse treatment staff at his or her prison. The person can also have physical examination at health services to document physical proof of substance abuse disorder, such as track marks, or if a person received substance abuse detoxification when he or she was first admitted into the BOP. He or she can be given the drug treatment staff permission to contact health services and verify that fact. So, just because it's not in your pre-sentence report doesn't necessarily mean you're dead in the water. As you can see, they are supposed to take into consideration things like a judge's recommendation, even though I can tell you hands down, if all you have is a judge's recommendation and nothing else, you're not getting into RDAP. I don't want to make a statement as fact because there could be that 1% chance that somebody got in somehow. But typically, if all you have is a judge's recommendation, but nothing in your PSR, no documentation backing it up, very unlikely that you're going to be accepted into the program. Now, with that said, we do see a lot of the times where people don't have it in their pre-sentence report, but they do have documentations from like a substance abuse professional or judge's recommendation. And the BOP still wants to give them crap over it, saying, hey, it's not in your PSR, so we're not going to let you in the program. Guys, do your homework. If you have anything verifying that you had substance abuse issues, even if you were taking prescription pills and they were being prescribed to you from the doctor, get a list of your prescriptions. Even if you're sitting in prison right now and you didn't think about this till later, or you're a family member or friend of somebody incarcerated and you know that they had issues and the RDAP coordinator or the Bureau of Prisons is kind of giving you blowback on trying to let your loved one or yourself be accepted into the program, and you haven't thought of alternative options, a great method could be to go pull your medical records, prescription history, showing if you were on like Schedule II narcotics, pain pills, Oxycontin, things, Vicodin, things of that nature. Just because you're being prescribed medication does not mean you're not necessarily abusing it. A lot of substance abuse starts from a doctor writing you a prescription for, I stubbed my toe, and the next thing you know, the doctor's got you on, hydrocodone or Oxycontin, things of that nature, which maybe wasn't needed for that pain, but they gave it to you anyway. Before you know it, you develop some sort of a physical addiction to this. So getting your homework in is the best thing that you can possibly do in order to offset what may be lacking from the PSR. And do be ready. There are some RDAP coordinators that are not very friendly to helping somebody get into the program because they're so used to people trying to abuse the system. And again, this comes from people like RDAP law consultants who is flat out educating people to lie in order to get into the program, people that didn't actually have substance abuse issues. I've spoken to so many individuals myself that told me RDAP law consultants told them to do this. And then after they started doing it, they realized, what the heck am I doing? This is kind of what got me into the situation to begin with, trying to take shortcuts, trying to cheat the system, trying to think rules don't apply to me. You got to get the criminal thinking out of your mind because these are the roadblocks that are going to prevent you from moving forward. So if it's not in your PSR, you do need to have some sort of documentation from either, even if you see somebody after you've been indicted and you realize that, maybe you weren't forthcoming during the PSR interview and you're like, shit, I really did have substance abuse issues. What am I supposed to do now? I didn't tell the probation officer because my attorney told me not to, or I thought I was going to get in trouble or get more time, or they weren't going to allow me to stay out on pretrial supervision. So I didn't tell them, but I did have substance abuse issues. So what do? Best thing you can do. You can definitely give us a call. We can point you in the right direction. We do work with a substance abuse professional out of California who takes her job very, very serious. She's not going to manipulate the system. She's not going to put information in your report just to help you qualify for the program. She is going to ask you a lot of questions. And if she thinks you're full of shit, you're going to be wasting your money with her. So don't come knocking if you don't really have an issue because we're not the people to help you. I don't want to get indicted like RDAP law consultants. I'm done going to prison. Any more questions in here? All right. So last thing we got here is what disqualifies somebody from RDAP? Obviously, if you don't have substance abuse issues and they're not notated and you haven't been very clear about that, that's going to disqualify you. But beyond that, what typically would disqualify, and this is really why we did this video today specifically, is because, looking at something here. Because we've gotten so many emails specifically talking about guns and violence, 2-point enhancements. My gun wasn't used in a violent crime, but there was a gun, and they're not being able to get into RDAP. So I really want to give you guys the best. There's a lot on this next one, so you're not going to be able to see me, but you should be able to hear me. We're going to actually load this on the entire screen. So give me a second here, and let me pull this up. So we'll be back in a second. All right. RDAP qualifying. Disqualifies for time reduction. So what disqualifies you for time reduction? Prisoners that meet any of the following criteria cannot receive the sentence reduction, even if they complete RDAP. ICE detainees, which is if you have a hold for if you're going to be detained, or immigration holds, things like that, where if you're not going to be released or you can't go to a federal halfway house, that's what ICE is, immigration basically. These people are also not eligible for RDAP. Prisoners with prior felonies or misdemeanors for homicide, forcible rape, robbery, arson, kidnapping, aggravated assault, or child sexual abuse offenses. Prisoners currently serving time for a felony crime that involved the actual attempted or threatened use of physical force or serious potential risk of physical force, or the carrying, possession, or use of a firearm or other dangerous weapon or explosives, including any explosive material or explosive device, or sexual abuse committed upon children, or attempt or conspiracy to commit any of these types of offenses, or to commit homicide, forcible rape, robbery, aggravated assault. Okay, that part's in there twice. Prisoners who already received the RDAP sentence reduction for completing RDAP while serving a previous prison term. So if you've done RDAP in the past and you completed it, you got your time off, you can't do it again. Are prisoners who current convictions involve guns eligible for sentence reduction? Under the 2009 rules, federal prisoners currently serving time for a felony that involved the carrying, possession, or use of a firearm or other dangerous weapon or explosives, including any explosive material or explosive device, are not eligible for RDAP sentence reduction, even if they complete RDAP. I had to reiterate that. As described above, for years, the BOP refused to give the RDAP sentence reduction to those convicted of a crime of violence. The BOP interpreted crimes of violence include many gun crimes, 18 USC subsection 922A, 4A, 7. There's a whole list of them there, guys. Or conspiracy to commit a violation of any one of these sections, various firearm violations including illegal sales, deliveries in possession, or conspiracy to commit a 924C crime, The use of carrying a firearm during and in relation to any crime of violence or drug trafficking crime or 846 drug crime when paired with a 2-point gun enhancement. So even if you're not charged with a gun charge, but you have a crime and you receive a 2-point enhancement for the gun, but you weren't actually charged with the gun, just receiving the 2-point level enhancement on your offense level, that will also disqualify you from RDAP. So there's all kinds of, basically any violence, anything to do with the gun, any crimes against children. If you have a child pornography case and it was not hands-on and it was pictures only, in a lot of cases you will be able to take RDAP. Now, as you noticed, and let me just pull it back up for 1 second here. As you noticed, it says time reduction. So disqualifies for time reduction. Just because you qualify for RDAP doesn't necessarily mean you qualify for the time off. You can take RDAP, find out several months into it that all of a sudden that you're no longer qualified for the time off, or you never were qualified for the time off. So that was one of RDAP law consultants, one of their biggest scams that they were doing was they were telling people they're going to help them guarantee to get them in RDAP or your money back. And then a lot of people would get into RDAP, but they weren't getting the time off. Well, a lot of people were under the assumption that you're getting me in RDAP for the time off. So just because you're in RDAP does not necessarily mean you're going to receive any sentence reduction. It has a lot to do with your crime, has a lot to do with the time left on your sentence. You could get into issues. Also, it talks about RDAP lasting 9 to 12 months. Typically, RDAP is about 10 months. It can go up to 12 months, though, but it cannot exceed 12 months. If you haven't graduated RDAP within 12 months, you're automatically removed from the program. What makes somebody take RDAP for 12 months? Well, if you're in it and you get in trouble, you have an issue, but you're not removed from the program, they can recycle you. Basically, it's like kicking you back from the 12th grade to the 11th grade, making you redo a grade. You can do that up to 1 or 2 times, but once you exceed 12 months, you're no longer eligible to graduate the program. At this point, you're wasting a seat and they're going to give it to somebody else, and you're not going to get any time off for the sentence. You must be able to go to the halfway house in order to receive time off for RDAP. So if you have some sort of a crime that prevents you from going to the halfway house, and this is one of the reasons why if you have an immigration hold, one of the reasons why it disqualifies you from RDAP is if you have an immigration hold, you cannot go to the halfway house. A lot of different detainers, warrants out there, possible detainers, that can also prevent you from going to the halfway house. And if you can't go to the halfway house, you cannot do RDAP, because once you graduate RDAP, you have to do the aftercare of RDAP while you're in the federal halfway house. So there are lots of provisions and regulations that you need to pay attention to. Just because you think you're going to qualify, it's not always that easy. I went through RDAP myself. I was sentenced to 42 months. I took RDAP. My RDAP class was a 10-month class. I did receive the year off. I also fought tooth and nail to get as much halfway house as possible, even though they originally denied me. They originally gave me 6 months. I fought it, came back about 30 days later, and I received 11 months federal halfway house. So I got my 6 months of good time, 12 months off for RDAP, plus 11 months federal halfway house, which on a 42-month sentence allowed me to only serve 13 months in prison and 11 months in a federal halfway house. And out of that 11 months in the federal halfway house, I spent 4 of that on home confinement. So I was really only in the federal halfway house for 8 months. So there are a lot of things that you can do to properly prepare. And that's one of the big things that we do here is we help you prepare for everything that's coming down the pipe. The more focus you put on prison preparation, the more you realize it's not just a bunch of big parts. It's a bunch of big parts with a bunch of small parts. And there's so many moving parts that when you think you have it all figured out, you realize, well, here's a spin on this or here's a spin on that. One of our clients literally just called me. He's in the room right now watching. Just called me a few minutes ago and said, I'm having a little bit of a freak out. My attorney is all of a sudden telling me he doesn't think I'm going to qualify for RDAP. My opinion is he will qualify for RDAP because he was very honest during his pre-sentence report, but his attorney's telling him because he only drinks a case to 2 cases of beer a week, or a 6-pack to 2 6-packs per week, that he doesn't think that's going to qualify him. Well, I'm here to tell you that your attorney, more than likely, the average attorney, criminal defense attorney, does not follow their clients past sentencing. Really, they don't follow you much past taking your plea agreement. They definitely don't follow you past sentencing. So for an attorney to say, I don't think you're going to get it, in my mind, the only way an attorney can make that sort of assumption or educated guess would be is if he's following all of his clients into the prison system, then documenting which one of them are trying to get into RDAP, which of those clients actually provided documentation or provided statements to probation, and then tracked how many of them got in versus how many of them didn't get in, and tracked the reasons why. I've yet to meet an attorney that's ever done any of that. So I'm here to tell you that if your attorney's telling you something, you definitely want to second guess it and do your homework and due diligence, and don't just assume. Now, if he's giving you legal advice early in the case, why you should take your plea, why you shouldn't take your plea, that's different. That's where the attorney's focus kind of rise and shine. Where their rise and shine kind of hits the sunset and disappears off into the abyss is really once you take your plea agreement. There's not a whole lot of explanation of what you should be doing to self-mitigate your own situation to produce the best possible outcome for the best possible results. And there's so many factors that come into play on this. The craziest thing is when we talk to people, we hear people all the time that are like, well, my crime is not a drug crime, so I don't think I'm going to qualify for RDAP. Your crime does not have to be a drug crime, guys. You just have to have a substance abuse issue. It can be 100% pure white collar or whatever your crime was, as long as you have substance abuse issues and you document them and notify the probation officer and you meet other criteria like no violence, no guns, things of that nature, whether it was embezzlement, wire fraud, bank fraud, mortgage fraud. You had issues, you were a stockbroker and you were, funneling money or shorting stuff or insider trading, you can still qualify for the drug program. You just have to be honest. And that's another huge misconception is so many times we'll talk to somebody, I wish I saw your videos earlier. I wish I had reached out to you because I spoke to another guy who claims to be a professional for white collar individuals. Not only was his price $15,000, $20,000, he didn't come off as didn't give quite as much information as you're giving. And he made it sound like because I'm not catering to purely white collar individuals that the services we provide don't cater to white collar individuals. If you're a white collar individual right now, 100% our scope of services and the work that we do far super exceeds any prison consultant in the industry. This is the reason why they're gunning for me. Is that simply is I've created such a mass wall of competition for guys that are charging 15 to 20 grand because I know there's no need to do that. You can provide every single service that they're providing and then some at an affordable cost, whether you're making $1 million a month or where you're making, $500 a month. These services are available to anybody that sees the value. We make it affordable across the board for that reason. I don't want to have to tell somebody no just because they're not making mid six figures or more per year. The fear, the anxiety, what you're going to go through, the prison custody you're going to go to, whether you're going to go to a camp or a low, it's the same for a white collar individual versus a average first-time nonviolent offender. It doesn't matter what the crime is. If you're a first-time nonviolent offender and there's no guns in your charge, no sexual interactions with children, just because it's not a white-collar crime doesn't mean you're not going to a camp. You're going to go to probably the same place that the white-collar individual is going to. So your issues and their issues are exactly the same. The problem is the sales pitch that you're hearing is making it seem that they have some special recipe just for white collars. It's a fucking scam, guys. You got to open your eyes. When you paid your attorney all of this money, a lot of you probably expected much different results. You thought your attorney was going to be able to wash a lot of this away, and you realize the further you get into this that no, that's not the case. You are looking at actual prison time. Well, don't fall for the same gimmick when you're looking at getting assistance and somebody's quoting you $15,000, $20,000 for prison consulting services. If you want to pay that, fine, but just realize there are individuals out there. It's not just me. There's also RDAP.com. There's a guy named Patrick Boyce who's got a great service. He's been around for a long time. He's helped many high-end white-collar individuals, and I think he's in the neighborhood of $5,000, $6,000, not $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. There's just no need to charge those type of fees. That's greedy. Greed. That's what got a lot of these individuals into the problem to begin with, is they wanted to maximize how much money they can milk somebody for. And it's pretty down and dirty. What's up, CyberDoc? Brian Tucker, what's going on, my man? Well, that's really what we wanted to talk about. There's some additional content in the description of this video. We've got some links to FAM, Families Against Minimum Mandatories, which can give you a whole lot more information on RDAP. There's also some links to if you want to follow up more on the psychological side of like the DSM-5 and what it looks like. I'm not a chemical dependency professional, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you you've got a problem or don't have a problem. But I will tell you, if you think you have a problem, give all that information to the probation officer. Tell them everything. Don't withhold anything, because when you don't give enough info, that can be an issue for you later on. And so many of the people that we deal with on a regular basis just kick themselves in the ass because they did not disclose due to the advice in many cases from the attorney. So don't be the one, guys. Do you help nonviolent crimes? Yes, Derek, that's what we specialize in. Is that what you're asking? Do I help with people who have nonviolent crimes? Our focus is on nonviolent offenders, first-time offenders, nonviolent crimes. We do have individuals as well that do have violence in their past or in their current offense, but the average that we deal with are a combination of white-collar individuals to first-time nonviolent offenders. So absolutely, Derek, feel free to give me a call, text, email, all that good stuff. 509-434-4695. That's all I got for you guys today. I'm going to try to get back to more of a regular stream here, Monday, Wednesdays. Try to get on Fridays or Saturdays. We've just been really, really booked solid with the work that we do. So it doesn't always allow me to get on here and provide YouTube videos. But I do realize how much value you guys have, or how much value you receive when I do post this content, just from the messages I received over the last couple days of concerned individuals wondering where I was. There is a good chance I'm going to be taking a 60-day, we'll call it 70 days just to be safe. 70-day, it's kind of like a vacation, but it's a secret. I can't tell you what it is because it involves some stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about. But it's all good stuff. It's all stuff that's going to be great for you guys, great for me. But I'm not allowed to talk about it just yet. I signed an NDA saying I can't talk about it. And as we get closer to it, I'll definitely let you guys know. Business will be open as normal. CJ, Jenny, Angela, Diane, Alexis, all these great people that help me make the world go round and round will still be here grinding away. So even if I'm not here on YouTube, we're here to take your calls for 60 days. Fear not. We're here to save the day, guys. All right, I'm RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, people helping people, communities method, one day at a time. If you didn't like this video, give me a quick thumbs up. How many thumbs up do we got, Ches?
15.
15 thumbs up? Not too shabby. Hi, Dan. I'm going to turn 70 and have never been arrested, but have learned so much about the hierarchies and rigid after watching 20 plus of your videos. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that 20 of my videos, man, that's a true fan right there. I can't watch my own videos. I hate even seeing my face on the screen right now. That's why I like looking at the camera and not where I can see myself, because it's rough. It's rough out there. All right, guys, have a great night. We'll be back Wednesday. Talk to you soon. I love every single one of you. Have an amazing night. Say bye, CJ.
Bye.